If you want to breathe a bit of life and chaos into your brass section, then this library might be for you. Hey everyone, my name is Robert Rodriguez and I'm a composer and orchestrator. If you're new here, I want to give you access to my free composer reference guide. This is going to cover the basics on how to write music for different genres for film and television. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely check out the link in the description down below. Westwood Instruments has just released their latest addition to the Untamed collection, and it's the Solo Brass Untamed sample library. If you are familiar with Westwood Instruments, then you might know of their other Untamed libraries like solo strings and percussion, and today we get a new addition to the orchestra, which is that brass section. They also have other libraries like the upright felt piano, alt piano, and the lost piano, which I actually reviewed a few months back. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so already. Now, I'm very grateful that Westwood Instruments has actually provided a copy for me to review and share my thoughts with you all today. So thank you again, Rob, and everyone else at Westwood. So within the past week or so, I was able to take a look at the press release that was sent to me for Solo Brass Untamed, and I really love that it actually follows in the footsteps of the solo strings library. It's designed and completely built off of improvisation, which means that the sounds we're gonna get are gonna be completely unique to this library. Other solo libraries will typically sound pretty straightforward. The room mics might sound a bit different, the room itself might be different, but overall you'll get standard long and short articulations. But then we see this Untamed library and it's supposed to breathe a bit of life and chaos and emotion into the brass section. The normal retail price for Solo Brass Untamed is going to be $199, but the special launch price that it's at right now is $119. Now, this might not last long, and depending on when you watch this video, the sale might already be over. So if you find that this library meets your needs, then you might want to take advantage of this discount. All right, so let's just jump right in. I opened up a brand new session in Logic, and it's going to be important to note that this library does not run on the free Kontakt player. You're going to need the full version of Kontakt in order to use it. But if we were to open up the individual instrument folder, we are going to see that we get a total of 5 solo instruments: the Euphonium, Flugelhorn, Trombone, Trumpet, and Tuba. So right off the bat, we already see we're not getting like a standard orchestral lineup for brass instruments. We're not getting the French horn, but we're getting the Euphonium and the Flugelhorn. And then looking at the next folder, we also are going to have a set of multis, which is something we'll take a look at later in the video. All right, so let's just pull up, I guess, the Flugelhorn. So right away, just from looking at this interface, if you're familiar with their solo strings library, this is going to be very similar to that. So let's just start off by checking out their articulations. So this is Improv A, and it goes A, B, C, D, and then this is going to be a round robin. So let's just see. That is a very clear sound. Which is interesting actually, because this is the room mic, but it does sound very detailed. So it does sound very smooth, but you also get a bit of that improv feeling where it's just a little shaky, right? So it's not just a straight Flugelhorn long. Let's try Improv B. And that was a pretty high velocity I hit it at, but let's go softer. Love that. Improv C. Improv D. Improv round robin. What I like about the round robin is you could hit the same note at the same, relatively same intensity, and you're going to get a slight variation. So that way, like if you're hitting an F, then that same F won't just sound like the same recorded sample over and over. So that is a perk to using the improv round robin articulation. And the storms articulation, from what I understand, is supposed to give you a lot of control on the mod wheel. So like it might start off with a calm solo instrument with a relatively low mod wheel. It's going to go up to a lively sound and then a wild ensemble of flugelhorns. So let's give it a try. It's a very, very soft sound. Right there, as we get to the middle of the mod wheel, you definitely hear it getting more lively. And right there, wild. Really, really great. I love that. And then let's just take a look at some of the other features of the user interface. Right away, we're going to see kind of like the attack, release, tightness kind of thing for long samples, as well as our short samples. This specific patch does not come with short samples. We'll take a look at maybe like trumpet or trombone or something, and I think we're going to get a few more articulations. The EQ is a standard EQ. We turn it on, and then you can adjust the low, mid, and high. The width is going to indicate whether it's stereo or mono. Right now, it's roughly in the middle, but let's see what it would be like if we were to go full stereo. And then mono. All right, and then we turn that off, and it goes back to normal. And then we also have the reverb. Automatically, it's turned on. This is specifically in a warm hall, roughly 50%. And then if we were to turn it all the way up, you really get that wet reverb sound. Really nice. Then we can see that we can actually indicate the key switches. Automatically, it's turned off. But actually, I think I personally would just keep the key switches on just because I like to have that visual there. And then you can see if it's going to be mono or poly. So when it's poly, you can play multiple pitches at once. When it's mono, you only do one. And then we have the performance faders. So dynamics is going to be your mod wheel. You have expression, and then you can assign vibrato. And then we can see the microphone mixer, and this is going to give you a spot mic, close mics, room mics, and gallery mics. And the room mic is the default, but I really like the sound of really everything together. You can kind of blend and mix and match, but of course that will use up more memory, so just be mindful of that. If we were to add in close, a bit of spot mic, which really gives the detail, gallery is gonna really give it more of a wider spread sound. Let's take a listen to that. Really, really nice. So that was just the flugelhorn. We can even load up another instrument. Maybe we'll get some more articulations. Let's try trumpet. All right, so right away we see that we have a bit more. We have improv A through D, round robin, and storms, but then we do get a long, long mute, alt finger, soft air, soft mute, surges, surges mute, tonguing, I think tongue mute with a harmon mute. Yes, okay. Half valve. This is no tuning pipe, short, harmon mute, short, and cup mute, short. So we have plenty to work with, especially with this trumpet patch. Let's try, I guess, just start off with improv. Improv D. Right? I'm not even touching the modulation at all. And it just really just goes a little crazy. It gives you this unpredictability, which I'm really loving. We have storms, which remember kind of goes from calm to lively to wild. That's really great. This is a standard long. But even that doesn't sound just like a long that we'll hear in normal solo libraries. It really has a bit more grit to it than mute. Then I want to see what alt finger is. Alternative fingering. Okay. Really cool. Soft air. Really delicate sound. Let's go surges. Again, I'm not really touching that mod wheel for the most part, and it's really giving you that improvised sound, even though it's technically a surge. Let's go half valve. It almost sounds like a voice, right? Like an altered voice. I really like that sound. That's a really cool sound. I want to maybe go back to that, but no tuning pipe. We haven't heard short yet, so let's see what that's going to be like. All right, so that's really based on velocity. Then we have a harmon mute. And a cup mute. I kind of wanted to just play around with this half valve. I feel like you can get some really cool sounds just from messing with a lot of like maybe like the EQ and the space. Let's start off with making this really wide. Let's add some reverb. I guess let's mess around with these mic settings. Oops. Yeah. It really gives it that stereo image, that gallery mic signal. What if I were to tune it down? Right? Because down here I'm at its kind of lower end. What if I were to like kind of mess with it a little bit? Let's go down an octave. Okay. That does not seem like a trumpet patch at all, right? Because we were able to mess around with it, pitched it down, mess with some settings, it really has this like throaty sound to it, or at least specifically this half valve articulation. We have a chance to mess around with so much here. This is just not your standard solo brass library. All right, so let's just see what else we get. Maybe let's try Euphonium. And so it's going to give us roughly the same as before, right? We have our surges. We have some vibrato fast and slow here. We have smudges and pops. Let's start off with improv, and then we can go over to some of the new stuff. Really beautiful, soft sound. I know I like the gallery mic signal, so I'm going to just add that in, and then I want a little bit of detail. Maybe like that, and I guess a bit of close as well. All right, let's try vibrato. And fast. There it is. That's a very lyrical, beautiful sound. It's really great. Flutter mute. Surge is loud. So that's going to give you that unpredictability. Short. Smudges. And pops. Okay, so that is the euphonium. And then let's go for, we did these two, so maybe trombone, and then we'll look at tuba as well. Okay, so trombone is going to offer a lot to work with, kind of similar to the trumpet. I want to go over stuff that we haven't really seen, but and just to keep in mind, once I really go through this library, I'll probably save these patches with these microphone settings to the way I like them, because I really do like the sound of all four signals. Maybe let's go for tonguing. This is a cup mute. Let's go for bends. Awesome. Drones. Limited range, so... Okay, so it really drones on. Multiphonics. Really interesting. Because these Fs are an octave apart, but... like, they're similar, but they definitely sound different. Really cool. Long falls. When you let go is when you hear the fall. Okay. And then let's go short falls. And then we have short mute. This is a straight mute versus bucket. Okay. And then bucket. So that is trombone, and let us try the tuba. Okay, I'm going to just add these in. So that's improv A, long, flutter, really throaty sound. Interesting. This, I guess because of the mute, but it really sounds more mono. So what if I were to go like that? Do you hear that difference? All right, really interesting. Let's turn that off. Surges soft. The surges really kind of reminds me of like one of the improv articulations. Surges loud. Maybe vibrato fast. Okay, this is multiphonic. All right, and let's go for pops. It almost sounds like a synth in a way. All right, awesome. So those are our 5 solo brass instruments. Next up, let's take a look at the multi-patches that we have. So this is going to be our multi-folder, and then the multi-folder has subfolders inside, which is going to be our classics, experimental, improvisations, shorts, and textures. So let's just pick any of them, those who are left. And this is part of our classics. Okay, so it's going to use 3 out of the 5, tuba, euphonium, and trombone. It's using soft air, soft mute tonguing. The EQ is touched up here. This is going to use vibrato slow, and this is going to use vibrato slow and soft air. Let's just close these up. We know that these are omni, so everything will come out at once. It's a really solemn sound. Really, really solemn. Okay, let us go for chamber vibrato. All right, so this is using 4 of the 5. Let's go to experimental. Come with me if you want to live. So it looks like 2 trombones, short falls, short mute, short fall, short mute, but we are tuned differently. So 2 octaves down and 3 octaves down. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That's a bit too low, but... So I feel like that's like Terminator meets like The Shining. Wow, I love that one. Okay, that is definitely a really cool one. And then maybe like making bones. I don't know what that is. Whole lot of trombones again. Okay, 4 trombones. 2 of them are pitched down an octave. We got tonguing, we got bends and bends mutes, surges, and more tonguing. Okay. Ooh, there we go. Okay. What I really like about these multis is that it really just presents you with a bunch of pre-created sounds that if you don't have the time, you don't have to dive too deep. You just automatically have the sounds created for you. Of course, you might want to tweak some things yourself if you want to make sure you don't sound like someone else who has this library. But I really am loving these multis. Let's go to improv round robins. All right, so these are all 5 of the instruments, and they're all going to be set to round robin. Really great stuff. And then all the improvisations, I'm guessing, is every improv articulation. Let's see. Every improv, other than the round robin. Flugelhorn, every improv. Euphonium, every improv. Okay, yeah, so it looks like that's what it's going to be. Wow, okay. Oh, wow, that is just like an aggressive ensemble of improv. Okay. So this is something that you can also do yourself. Like this is just pre-assigned all improv, but you can create your own ensemble and just do improv A and C for tuba and trumpet, but then B and D for the rest of the brass instruments, right? So you can create your own ensemble of a brass section, really. Let's just go to shorts. Let's try pop pops. All right, so these are euphonium and tuba, and they're both set to pop. Yeah, that really sounds like a synth to me. Studio shorts. Really nice sound. Lost shorts? I wonder what the difference is, really. Yeah, okay, let's see. Okay. It has to be in the reverb and the width. Okay. That's what it is. Yep, the reverb is a lost hall. Let's just head on over to textures. We have go softly, loud surges, and soft surges. I have an idea of what loud and soft surges might sound like, so let's go for go softly. A bunch of trombones and... Yeah, so that's definitely a nice, soothing texture, honestly. And I really like it in that mid range, mid to upper range. I think it's a really beautiful sound. And then one more, let's just go for one more, maybe loud surges. Really nice. All right, so those are just a few of the multis that we are given in this library. We have a lot more than I think I was expecting. I didn't really think that we would get multis, really. I kind of was just expecting the solo instruments. So this was a very pleasant surprise. So what I really love about Westwood Instruments is that they're making these experimental and alternative libraries for those of us who might not have the means or access to live musicians. Like, imagine being in a recording studio or even your own home studio and you have a brass player right there in front of you, and you're given a chance to experiment with a bunch of different techniques and a whole bunch of different sounds. And I think that's what this Solo Brass Untamed library tries to capture. We're so used to brass libraries that offer us standard long and short articulations, but most of the time I find myself more inspired when I'm working with samples that are more unconventional. If you want your own music to stand out, then I think there are going to be two important contributing factors. Number one is to simply start by writing good music, and samples are not going to do that for you. And this is going to be up to personal taste, and it's going to take a whole lot of practice to find your own voice. But then we might reach a point where your music is sounding great, but you're using typical samples that make you sound like everybody else. So number two is to get creative with techniques and unusual sounds. But if you don't have access to those live musicians to create those techniques and unusual sounds, you then have to rely on the samples that are available to you. So I think that's why I'm a big fan of this brass library and the Untamed series altogether. Westwood Instruments is giving us a chance to experiment with and feel inspired by these different textures and sounds that we might not normally get from a standard solo sample library. So if you're looking to learn more about another Westwood Instruments library, then you're definitely going to want to check out my Lost Piano review video. So I'll see you over there, and as always, happy composing.